The room was dripping in pink ribbons and champagne when the front door swung open, and in walked a stunning pregnant woman no one had invited. My sister froze mid-sentence, her face draining of color as the stranger smiled, cradled her belly, and said, "Your son's been kicking all morning. He must know his mom's about to meet him." Forks dropped. Jaws followed. The baby shower turned ice cold in seconds. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The humiliation. I didn't want to go. There was a time when family gatherings brought me comfort, but those days were buried beneath hospital visits, empty ultrasound screens, and the metallic taste of pity in everyone's voice when they said, "Keep trying, it'll happen." Danielle's baby shower was not a celebration. It was a minefield wrapped in pink ribbon. The invitation came 3 weeks after my final consultation. Unexplained infertility. That was the phrase they stamped on my file like a scarlet letter. I stared at the pastel font and cartoon stork, and I felt like I was being dared to show up, like the whole event was designed to spotlight my failure. Still, I went. Not because I wanted to, because my mother made it clear I should. "You need to be there for Danielle," she said. "This isn't about you." As if grief had a switch. As if I could tuck it neatly into my purse like a crumpled tissue and clap for a baby shower game. I wore navy to a sea of blush tones and glitter. My gift was a handcrafted baby blanket I spent 3 nights crocheting through tears. Not for her, but for the child I would never carry. I wrapped it in silver paper and taped on a note that read, "Wishing you a lifetime of joy." My handwriting shook as I wrote it. The moment I stepped into the room, I was no longer Emma, the woman. I was Emma, the empty vessel. Smiles faltered. Conversations died in their throats. I was the ghost at the feast, present but not entirely welcome. Danielle, glowing in her floral crown, greeted me with the warmth of a hostess checking off a task. Her hug was stiff, like she didn't want to wrinkle the illusion of her perfect day. My mother hovered, offering introductions to distant cousins like I hadn't sat at this table every holiday since childhood. And all around me, giggles, cake pops, and the kind of small talk that scraped like sandpaper. Then it happened. Aunt Carol, God bless her brutal honesty, leaned in, breath thick with cheap rosé, and said, "When are you going to give us a baby, Emma? Or have you finally accepted it's not meant to be?" The room didn't gasp. It laughed. Danielle snorted. My mom shook her head, smiling like it was a sitcom blooper. My father, my quiet, always neutral father, let out a low chuckle and kept eating his fruit salad. I stood there, swaying slightly, the blood draining from my face while something else surged upward. Not sadness. Not even shame. It was fury, hot and wild. I looked at them, their pastel clothes, their smug assumptions, and thought, "You think this is the end of my story? You have no idea what I've been building in silence." And for the first time in months, I smiled. But not for them. The pact. There's a moment, right after your final round of fertility treatment fails, when silence becomes unbearable. It's not the quiet in the room, it's the quiet in your body. No pulses of hope, no signs, just stillness. It echoes louder than any scream. After the 3rd round collapsed into nothingness, I fell apart, quietly, neatly, the way women are taught to self-destruct, with grace. I stopped looking in mirrors. I stopped answering texts. I measured time in blood and syringes and hollow apologies to Nathan that he never asked for. Then one night, as I sat on the floor of our bathroom with my arms around my knees and tears crawling down my collarbones, Nathan sat beside me without a word. He didn't try to fix it. He just took my hand, rubbed circles into my wrist, and whispered, "Let's stop hurting you." That was the turning point. Not a miracle, not a revelation, just a quiet surrender that made room for a new kind of strength. We started researching surrogacy the next week. I was hesitant, terrified even, not just of the process, but of what it meant, letting someone else carry what I couldn't. Would it make me less of a mother, less of a woman? Was I giving up, or finally choosing a way forward? Then we met Allison. She walked into the cafe like she had no interest in being liked, which made me trust her instantly. No forced smiles, no fake sympathy. She talked about her first surrogacy experience with the honesty of someone who'd been through hell and made peace with the ashes. "I don't do this for money," she said, stirring her tea like it was holy. "I do it for women like you, because I know what it's like to be told your body failed, and I like being the middle finger to that narrative." In that moment, I knew she was the one. We went through the screenings, the legal paperwork, the endless tests. I watched as my embryo, my one single remaining embryo, was placed into her womb like a prayer I never dared speak out loud. 2 weeks later, we got the call. Positive. I heard the heartbeat at 6 weeks, watched the flicker on the monitor. It was small, just a speck of light inside her. But, to me, it was thunder. War drums in my chest. We told no one. Not our parents, not our friends, especially not my family. I didn't want congratulations. I didn't want validation. I wanted silence. Because silence had become my weapon. Let them call me broken. Let them pity me. I wasn't just going to be a mother. I was going to be a storm they never saw coming. The arrival, the air in the room was syrup thick with artificial sweetness, champagne bubbles, piped frosting, and the kind of compliments that cut beneath the skin. I sat stiffly in a corner chair, clutching a plastic cup of punch like it was a weapon. Around me, the volume had risen with every drink poured and every ego inflated. Someone made a joke about stretch marks and earning your motherhood. Another chimed in, slurring slightly. "Some women just don't have that motherly spark, right?" A chorus of laughter followed, tight, brittle, and aimed like a dart at my spine. My mother smiled at the joke, trying too hard. Danielle didn't even bother pretending she didn't hear it. Her eyes flicked toward me, gleaming with smug superiority, and I realized then they liked me this way. The barren one. The disappointment. The tragic older sister who made Danielle's glow shine brighter. But I wasn't tragic. Not anymore. I stood slowly, pulled out my phone, and with a thumb that didn't tremble, typed one word. Now. I didn't sit back down. I let the seconds stretch, let them float in the air like dust motes, quiet and unnoticed, until the doorbell rang. Danielle, bloated with both pregnancy and self-importance, groaned theatrically and waddled toward the front door. She threw it open with the lazy entitlement of someone expecting another gift. Instead, she got Allison. The shift was immediate. Allison walked in like the calm before a storm, wearing a simple black dress that clung to her pregnant belly, her hair pulled back in a braid that made her look mythic. She wasn't trying to impress. She simply was. She locked eyes with me and smiled. Then she spoke. Not to me, but for me. "Your son was kicking like crazy on the way here. He must know his mom's about to meet him." The room cracked. You could feel the snap in the collective brain of everyone present. Time stopped. Words failed. I looked around and watched it unravel in real time. My mother's manicured hand trembled around her wine glass. Danielle, my picture-perfect sister, staggered back a step, mouth slightly open, eyes darting like she was trying to rewrite what she'd just seen. Aunt Carol, the queen of cruelty, actually sat down, hard, like someone had taken the wind out of her with a punch to the gut. I didn't flinch. My voice was steady, low, and final. "Meet my surrogate. Our baby's due in 6 weeks." The words dropped like stone into still water. No echo, no reply, just the long, satisfying silence of disbelief. And in that silence, I felt it fully for the first time. Not revenge, not vindication. Sovereignty. They had stripped me of dignity in whispers and smirks for years. Now I didn't just take it back. I arrived with proof. The reckoning. The silence after my announcement didn't last long. It shattered into 100 brittle pieces as Danielle let out a sound, half scoff, half gasp, and stormed out of the room. Her steps were slow but stomping, the forced rage of someone who expected to be the only woman glowing with purpose that day. Behind her, a trail of stunned faces turned toward me, blinking like the lighting had changed and no one told them. My mother was next. She fluttered toward me with that desperate, social smile patched over panic expression she always wore when reality didn't match her fantasy. "Emma, sweetheart, you could have told us. You didn't have to make a scene." I looked at her. Really looked at her. The same woman who had once stroked my hair through tears after my first miscarriage, and then, months later, told me, "Maybe God has other plans for you." A woman who had watched me unravel year by year and still managed to make Danielle's maternity glow the center of every room. And now she wanted to talk about drama? I didn't answer, because this wasn't a conversation. This was a reckoning. I turned back to Allison, who simply nodded, silent and steady like always. She knew she wasn't the main character in this room. She didn't need to be. She was the proof. The sword I had forged in secret and drawn in public. My calm was not performative. It was earned. I left shortly after that. No goodbye, no fake smile. Just the click of my heels and the weight of silence following me out the door. That night, my phone buzzed. It was my father. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize how cruel they were being." That line alone nearly made me laugh. He'd been in the room, every time, at every dinner, every holiday, every eye roll and offhand jab. His silence had always been the softest betrayal. He ended the message with, "I'd love to visit when the baby comes." I stared at the screen for a while. Then I opened the ultrasound image, attached it, and typed, "You're welcome to meet him if you learn how to defend me next time." I didn't get a reply. 6 weeks later, my son arrived, red-faced, lungs fierce, fists clenched like he came into this world ready to fight it. I held him, trembling not from weakness, but from a kind of power I didn't recognize in myself before. We named him Gabriel, after the angel of vengeance, the messenger of wrath, the one who never asks for permission, only brings truth. I never attended another baby shower after that. Why would I? I already gave birth to the only message that mattered.